I've had a busy time recently, and so I'm looking at the idea of a story. G'day and welcome to Small Steps Through Life. Today we're at beautiful Pukerua Bay Beach, and as you can see, it is absolutely stunning. And I'm going to be looking at some of these things that I see around me to come up with a story. And because I can, I'm going to introduce a new character. So today's story is going to be courtesy of a rock with a hole in it and a ladybird, or a ladybug. So let's see how it goes. One day while walking on a beach, a lot like this, there was a little boy, and as he walked, he looked ahead and he could see a huge rock and it had a hole in it. And it had been raining. And so everything was so wet. And as he watched, he saw something very large and very red with black dots in front of him. And he thought, "Whoa, what is that?" And it's amazing, it's huge. He could see it through the hole in the rock. It looked like it was about the size of a car. And this did not impress him. Things don't fly around that are the size of cars. This is a concern. And he hid behind a rock and peeked to see what he would see. And he watched, and he noticed it quickly disappeared. And then it reappeared. And he thought, that is strange. And then he realized he couldn't hear anything. There was no noise coming from it whatsoever. And so he went closer. And as he got closer, he realized that in the hole in the rock was a huge amount of water. And he realized that for some very bizarre reason, it was being held there. And as he went closer, he saw it bulged. And then he realized it looked like something he had at home in his kit for looking at bugs. It looked like a giant magnifying glass. And then he thought about it. And he looked around. And on the other side of the rock, he saw a little tiny, tiny ladybug. And it had been sitting at the perfect spot to be seen through the rock as though it was a giant magnifying glass. And he thought, this is so funny. And he was looking forward to telling everybody about it when he got home. But in the meantime, he looked back. And as he looked back, he realized that he could also see a giant snail. And he watched as it slithered. And as it was about to move out of his sight, he moved slightly to keep it in his vision. And it was amazing as he watched his little eyes moving around. And as he watched it slide across the rock, this was the best science experiment he'd ever had. He was very much looking forward to sharing this. This was amazing. And he watched it for a while until finally a bird landed on a rock and dropped the twig. And as it dropped the twig hit the water under the rock, and suddenly there was a whoosh and all the water disappeared. And he couldn't see anything through it now. Nothing small, just now like looking through air. And he had a look around. He had no idea what had held it there, but that was okay. He saw that the ladybird was fine on its rock, and off in the distance, the snail was happy on its rock. And he quickly picked up all his things and ran home. He went to tell his mum and dad about a giant ladybug. It was huge, he said. It was the size of the car. And then he went on to describe what happened. And he told them about seeing the world's biggest snail. It was huge. It was the size of a truck. And they smiled, partially in disbelief, until he showed them a picture that he'd taken with his phone. And they looked at it and they were amazed. They were very, very surprised. And he was very happy. What a great science experiment, he thought, as he drifted off to sleep that night. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the future.